The Dawning event is back, and with it, the consequences of Bungie's actions. This video isn't about the bugs that showed up thanks to the event. Instead, I will discuss the Dawning weapons I am farming and what they are for. The first weapon I'm doing my best to farm is the new Minstrel Lift. Editing Rum here, I realized after the fact that I kept saying Minstrel instead of Mistral Lift. I'm going to be saying that throughout the entire video. I am so sorry. I know it sounds wrong. My bad. Anyways, back to it. Linears are in a constant cycle of it's so over to we're so back. And even though they're not in the best spot right now, there are many instances or encounters where running a high crit linear works very well. And when linears are buffed even a little, I think Minstrel will be at the forefront of DPS rotations. Some roles I'm looking at right now are the most apparent Bait and Switch plus Envious Arsenal, which is slammed on almost all heavy DPS weapons. And I could explain why this is a role I want, but I'm sure you're already familiar with it. The next role I'm considering is Withering Gaze and Precision Instrument. While Precision Instrument can be changed to some of the other perks, Withering Gaze feels like a slept-on perk with tons of usage. You want to proc Withering Gaze right before your damage rotation to max out your DPS, and unlike some other weapons with the perk, Minstrel will have its own damage increase right as you shoot. So why does that work like that? Is because it fires 3 bolts and Withering Gaze will proc on the first bolt hit, meaning the 2 following bolts will have their damage increased. The next weapon I want to discuss is Stay Frosty, and I admit it's not for PvE. Stay Frosty received some love this Dawning, and although high impact frames are preferred for pulse rifles in PvP, lightweights will soon receive a nice buff that Stay Frosty will love. And if I'm transparent with you all, this weapon feels good right now without those buffs. I have used 2 separate roles so far, and I'll go over which one I prefer in a moment, but before that, I want to talk about how stacked this weapon is. There are some old school PvP classics here with perks like Kill Clip, Moving Target, Target Lock, and Headstone, and you can pair these perks with some of the new perks like Lone Wolf or Rhyme Stealer, and you have yourself a pretty well-rounded pulse rifle for both 3s and 6s. I want to add that despite what some are saying and thinking of Lone Wolf, you don't need to be solo for the stat boost it gives, but being alone doubles the stats the perk grants you. The primary role I've been using for this gun are Lone Wolf and Headseeker. I like this role the most in PvP. It never feels like I lose a ranged battle because of my gun. Admittedly, I would like more aim assist and recoil reduction, however, that's a personal problem that can be fixed with an individual solution. The second role that I've been using is Encore and Kill Clip. It's another one of those old school roles that work well, but to be honest, Kill Clip feels like it drops pretty soon after reloading on some maps. For 3s, you might find more success than I did with Kill Clip, but the consistency of Headseeker was just too much for me to miss out on. The next Dawning weapon I'm farming for is for PvE and PvP with Glacial Chasm. I'm sure most of you are farming want a good PvP role, so I'll start with what I'm looking for PvP first, then move on to PvE. Tons of good combinations make this fusion rifle a beast in PvP, and although I run shotguns over any other special weapons thanks to my chronic illness of Titan main, I see myself keeping at least a single Glacial Chasm in my inventory. There is the Certified Trials Classic role of Under Pressure plus High Impact Reserves that's been ever so prevalent when fusion rifles are meta, Slide Shot plus Closing Time for those of you who want to slide into your engagements, and Air Trigger plus High Impact Reserves for those warlocks who soar across and behind the map. I run a nice combo of Under Pressure plus Closing Time, and I do love this role, but I would rather have a charge time masterwork, since sometimes it feels like the charge is taking way too long. But Rum, why don't you run Lone Wolf and Closing Time? Is there something bad about it? It's a great question, hypothetical person. And the answer to that is, I don't have one. I wish I did, but unfortunately, I just can't seem to get lucky enough to get it. Theoretically, this is a much better perk combo in most PvP content. And here's a G2 Foundry screen cap to show the stats it gives without enhancements, but masterwork to charge time. And by God, do those stats look great. Let me know if you have that role and flex it in the comments, please. Next, for PvE, I'm looking for 2 separate role combinations. The first role I need desperately is Overflow plus Reservoir Burst. If you have seen what the Nightfall Weapon Plug 1 is capable of, you will be familiar with this combo interaction. If you haven't, Reservoir Burst makes the first shot in your magazine cause an elemental detonation on kill and have increased damage. Overflow will increase your magazine capacity up to double or 100% when you pick up special or heavy ammo bricks. So every shot loaded with Overflow will count as the first bullet in your mag, meaning you can cause so many elemental explosions, it's insane. The last role I'm going to be talking about is Envious Assassin plus Withering Gaze combo for Glacial Chasm as well. Like other weapons with this perk, the primary intention is for when fusion rifles can stun champions. You'll want to proc Withering Gaze before your full rotation, just like I said with Minstrel Lift, and since this is also a fusion rifle with multiple pellets, that means it'll increase its damage in the same shot it was fired. Envious Assassin is here to boost the ammo count in your magazine from getting kills with your primary. Just make sure to take out your weapon every 2 or 3 kills to refresh the buff and grant you more ammunition. And that is it. I'm leaving town for a week coming this Saturday, so I won't be able to make any videos for a little while, but when I'm back, I'll make more videos about Destiny and other content. So until then, my name is Rum, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.